So the Phantoms have dropped the home game against the Telford Tigers 5-3. I'm lucky to have Captain Will Weldon with me, and Will, we've talked before. We don't get too high when we win and too low when we lose, but that's a frustrating night. A poor performance overall, and chances. Brad Day's kept us out, but overall a game I think we should have taken.
Yeah, I think it's tough because losing a game at home, and ultimately you do look at league positions and it's 2 points lost. But if I'm being completely honest, it didn't feel like a bad performance. I think it just was one of those nights we didn't put the puck in the net as much as we needed to. We didn't keep it out the net as much as we needed to. But I think and it doesn't matter at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But if it was, if that was a boxing match and it went to points, I think we win. But what does that count for when we go away with 0 points?
Yeah, I think we were knocking on the door in the second half of the second period. Days made a couple of decent stops, as I said a few minutes ago, and it just didn't seem to fall. I think perhaps it was one of those games where it was even in many senses. Shots on goal pretty even, but we seemed, I think from my point of view, we lacked a bit of zip, a bit of juice going into the final period.
I mean, it's hard to say. Obviously, playing a game, you're in the game. You're not necessarily looking from the sky. And sometimes you see, I know from games where I've watched the stream this season, or last season, standing up on the commentary with you see a completely different game. But it wasn't a game where it felt like we were, behind the 8 ball or anything like that. It felt like we were in the game, we were competing, we were creating chances. We just, as I say, we didn't put the puck away. And ultimately, it doesn't matter if my opinion's right, your opinion's right. Everyone just looks at what the overall score is, and we're in a results business, and we didn't get the result, so it doesn't overly matter. We just need to bounce back tomorrow.
Yeah, and a few guys out, and we've over the last few weeks had to become accustomed to that. Last weekend we got the result against Hull. Tonight we couldn't do that. From your point of view, no big changes needed?
No, I think there's always things we can improve, and missing a couple of key guys, it certainly doesn't help, but we've got enough strength and depth in that locker room to cope with that, and we've proven that throughout the season when guys have been missing. I think it is, as I say, we're never, even when we win, we've stood here and had those conversations, there's always things that you can improve, and I think it's one of those games tonight that feels like we've played worse and won, and I'm sure we'll play better and lose at some other stage. It's one of those, I think, it's just go again. We can be better in certain areas, but just keep going.
Yeah, well, look, I appreciate your honesty and your candid kind of response to me, and I do quite like the fact that we don't necessarily have to have the same opinion, because I think we can do plenty of these interviews and say the same kind of things time in, time out. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you. Big game next weekend against MKL.
Every game's a big game at the minute. We're fighting for that league title, and results like tonight don't help, but it's sport, and there's always twists in the tail, and we'll keep believing until it's not possible.
Okay. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.